please. Oh, holy and precious. Through the playing of a young man, through messages to children, through a grand entrance with an organ, through singing, and now through the spoken word. We come. We come to be changed. We come to hear your voice, your word, praying that it would settle upon our hearts and change us into the children you called us to be. Take the words of my mouth and twist and turn them in whatever way you need to, that they would fall on the hearts of all the people here to make us your disciples. Through Jesus, my rock and my redeemer. Amen. I want to talk with you just for a moment about a man named Jacob Cohen. You will know him better by his stage name of Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney made an entire living of stand-up comedy and movies and everything else by making fun of himself. He was the king of one-liners, I think, sometimes, and he's the one that said things like, "My mother had morning sickness after I was born. My dog stands at the front door and barks. Not because he wants to go out, but he wants me to leave." And on and on and on, but he did something that most of us would never do. Made fun of himself. At his expense, he brought laughter. Now, most of us do everything in our power not to get laughed at, not to be embarrassed. Most of us have those fears, and what was the old thing they used to say, the big nightmare if you're a public speaker is that you wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat because you can imagine yourself standing in front of an entire audience in your underwear. We learn at an early age to look behind us as we come out of the men's room or women's room because we don't want that white tail stuck in our pants. If we have anything wrong with us, we try to cover it up. We just do not like to be the butt end of other people's jokes, do we? And we teach our kids this at a very early age. The clothing and shoe manufacturers of this country have made a fortune because our kids don't want to go to school unless they got that particular pair of sneakers because Joey has them too. And if you search back in your memory, I'm guessing a lot of you can remember days you came home from school in tears because somebody laughed at you about something, made fun of you. Or your kids or grandkids have come home that way too. If you can remember that feeling of humanity, then you're going to be able to understand better the next excuse that Moses uses. First excuse was, "Who am I?" Remember, and God says, "Don't worry about it, I'll be with you." Then last week it was like, "Who are you?" And God said, "I am who I am." This week, He's got a whole different excuse. Let's pick up where we left off last week. Chapter 4, we begin the first 9 verses. But Moses protested again. What if they won't believe me or listen to me? What if they say the Lord never appeared to you? Then the Lord asked him, "What is that in your hand?" "A shepherd's staff," Moses replied. "Throw it down on the ground," the Lord told him. So Moses threw down the staff and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back. Then the Lord told him, "Reach out and grab its tail." So Moses reached out and grabbed it, and it turned back into a shepherd's staff in his hand. "Perform this sign," the Lord told him, "then they will believe that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob, really has appeared to you." Then the Lord said to Moses, "Now put your hand inside your cloak." So Moses put his hand inside his cloak, and when he took it out again, his hand was white as snow with a severe skin disease. "Now put your hand back into your cloak," the Lord said. So Moses put his hand back in, And when he took it out again, it was as healthy as the rest of his body. The Lord said to Moses, if they do not believe you and are not convinced by the first miraculous sign, they will be convinced by the second sign. And if they don't believe you or listen to you even after those two signs, then take some water from the Nile River and pour it out on the dry ground. When you do, the water from the Nile will turn to blood on the ground. Moses' argument today basically is, I'm going to be embarrassed. They're going to think I'm nuts. Now put yourself in Moses' shoes. He says, I'm 80 years old. I haven't been to the big city for 40 years. And now you want me to go to a new Pharaoh and new people who don't know anything about me, don't have any idea the history I had with pharaohs and all that. And he says, you want me to tell them, I talked to God. Do you know what they're going to think of me? Not only did I talk to God, folks, but guess what? He was in a burning bush and it just kept burning and never burned up. You want me to go tell them that and expect them to believe it? You know what they're going to think of? They're going to think, this man's been out in the sun way too long. This man has been talking to the sheep when he should have maybe been having human conversations. Why, God, would anybody believe any of my story? They're going to laugh at me. I'm going to be a ridiculed laughing stock in the courts of Egypt. Try it today. When you go to Bob Evans, after the Baptists clear out and you guys get there, tell the waitress, I talked to God today. He was in a burning bush. See what they do. If you see white coats coming in the door about 5 minutes later, you might want to tell them you were joking. Maybe not. God says, tell you what. Do this. Take your staff, throw it on the ground, and watch what happens. And it turned into a saying. I like the human part where it says that Moses stepped back. Some of us don't like snakes, do we? He said, now pick it up. Every time I read that passage, I remember the pictures of Pharaoh with the headdress with the cobra on it. And I'm wondering, is God kind of saying, Egypt, I'm going to grab you by the tail. I'm going to shake you up a little bit. And God says, when you do that, they should get the message. But if they don't, let me give you another one. Stick your hand in your robe. And when he pulled it out, it had leprosy. He said, now, stick it back in. And when he pulled it back out, it was clean. God says, they'll understand that your God has power over life and death, over health. Do that. And they'll believe. And if they still don't believe, let me give you one more. You know, in Egypt, Moses, the Nile River is actually a god. They worship the Nile. So dip a little bit of water out of that in your traveling mug and pour it on the ground. And it'll turn to blood. Surely, they'll get it then. And God knows that in the long run, the Nile's going to run red with the blood of Egypt. Not just on this one occasion. Moses, you were worried about you not having the qualifications. I'm sending you now. Moses, you were worried about them not knowing that I had the power, and I told you, just tell them I am. And now I'm telling you, I don't care if you're embarrassed. I don't care if you get a little ridicule. I don't care if they giggle just a little bit. You're still going to prove who you are. And if they don't get it, guess what? That's their fault. Don't worry about it, because I'm sending signs like grabbing the tail of the snake and the river running red. They'll get it when I get done. You just have to do what I call you to do. Now here's what I want to talk to you about today. I think that we still have that excuse in our mentality when we are called to serve Jesus Christ. When God calls us to do something, and I've told you before, we are all put on this earth with a gift to do it. We say, nah, wait a minute. You want me to talk to people about God? You want me? Me to tell them about salvation and Jesus Christ? You understand that a good portion of the people don't believe that, right, God? You understand that some of them are going to laugh? You think God cares if you get just a little bit of ridicule? And I understand this well. When I was a police officer, I got news for you. And you can ask my wife, she'll verify it. She never once in 29 years touched one of my uniforms. Because I knew she wouldn't get the creases where I wanted them. I knew that she wasn't a good sewer and the patches would be like half an inch off kilter, etc., etc., etc. I paid to have every one of my uniforms cleaned each week. She never touched them. Something else that she would share, and I think this one kind of made her mad. Once I put that uniform on, I was in public. She didn't hold my hand. She didn't kiss me. There was no show of affection. Because I had an image. I wanted to be respected. Now, before you think that I'm really mean, my wife sometimes can be mean too. She used that to her advantage. One time she totaled a car. She came downtown where I was walking the beat, walked into the old True Value store with Gene Bianchi, came up and whispered it in my ear, knowing that while I was in uniform, I wouldn't say a word. She turned around and walked out. But I didn't want to be laughed at. I didn't want to be ridiculed. When I had that on, I was all business. How much has changed since God took me out of that world and put me in this one? I'll do anything, no matter how crazy it sounds, to be an emissary of Jesus Christ. You've seen me wear a wig in here. You've seen kids shoot me with squirt guns and silly string. At the end of Bible school last year, I got slimed, and I think I'm still pulling half of it out of my short hair. Christmas Eve this year, I think I had angel wings on. And on and on. I could go down. And you know what? I wanted to be laughed at. I wanted to be ridiculed. I wanted people to see that side of Jesus Christ. It doesn't matter what it takes to project the gospel and the word of salvation. I'll do anything. Folks, you haven't even tapped into my crazy part yet. Oh, please God, at least another couple of years here. You can laugh at me all you want. You can think, he's crazy. I'm okay with that. Because out of that foolishness, out of that embarrassment, if somebody comes to the kingdom of God, if somebody finds their salvation, I'm okay. You can laugh at me all day. I don't care. And when I put it into perspective of what God's done for me, everything I've done pales in comparison. Stop and think for a moment. The God, the one that he keeps saying, I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I've been your God since the beginning. Still says it to us today. How foolish is it? How crazy is it that he made everything that we have, that he did it all, and then he created a bunch of disobedient, stiff-necked brats. A God with all that power wanted to love something so bad that he made children that he knew would not get with the program. If I had got all that power, is that not foolishness? Is it foolishness to say if you eat from the fruit of this tree, you're dead, and then kill your own animals to make clothes for them? Is that foolish? that he puts up with everything that goes on in this country alone, let alone the entire world, each and every day, and has not called it to an end yet because he's still waiting for other people to find him? Is that foolish? Sometimes I think the whole concept and theology of free will is pretty crazy. Because we abuse it regularly, don't we? How foolish is it that you would sacrifice your one and only son for the salvation of the same kids that can't behave? And let's talk embarrassment now, shall we? How embarrassing was it that Jesus Christ allowed himself to get arrested on trumped-up charges, tried by a kangaroo court, and slapped around by the very people that he came to save? I put that in the category of being foolish. If that's not bad enough, how about letting yourself get dragged into a courtyard when you could have called down legions of angels, get stripped naked, and beaten to within an inch of your life? I'm thinking that's pretty foolish. I'm thinking it's crazy to let yourself get thorns shoved in your head, get spit on, get mocked by the people that are hanging on either side of you on the cross and all the people down below, and still say, I'll forgive them. How foolish and embarrassed must he have been to get nailed to that cross? And I got news for you. They show it to you with a loincloth, but he was hanging there naked in front of his mother and all the women that had been his followers and everybody else that wanted to gawk and eat their popcorn that day. I'd be pretty embarrassed, wouldn't you? What could you ever do that would be more demeaning or embarrassing for Jesus Christ than what he's already done for you? So the question today is pretty simple. Can you serve no matter what? Can you serve knowing that, sometimes you're going to tell somebody about salvation in Jesus Christ and it's going to be all foolishness to them, just like Paul said. Sometimes they're going to get pretty rude with you. Sometimes they're going to make fun of you. Sometimes they're going to tell you, you don't have any idea what you're talking about. Why don't you go back to school? Maybe you'll get invited to a rally at Washington, D.C. too. But if just one person, if one of those scoffers, through your efforts and through your embarrassment, comes to have a relationship with Jesus Christ, isn't it worth it? Can you be a fool for Christ? I plan on continuing. I plan on doing what Paul said in that first passage, my foolish preaching. Hopefully will be used by God to build his kingdom. I will continue to be nuts. And it sure would be nice to have company. Let me ask you this. Don't you think it might be about time we quit worrying about what people think and start worrying about what God thinks? Amen.